I guess we should touch on this real quick because this was mentioned earlier. I got an email about this. I've seen it go around, so I figured we'd talk about it. This is from on Reddit, Sygus Lorman, okay? Background, I made other posts talking about leaks before, so I like to think I have some kind of legitimacy in at least trying to share new Red info. This is AC Red, okay? Potential leaks about Assassin's Creed Red. Now, basically the background of it, the tester's background is that they're close friends with a Ubisoft dev and became a tester because of it, but I obviously have no way of confirming this. So it's all speculation. But this guy has had information before that was close enough. So it's interesting. A lot of it is things we already basically know or things that are just kind of following forward with speculation from the community. So it's nothing like shocking or crazy, you know, nothing wild. Some interesting information, like no mocap cutscene so far, but there's still overall improvement over the last 4 games. All that means, I saw some people freaking out about that in the comments of this. All that means is that it's using a dynamic system, which is basically what they did with Cyberpunk. It's what they did with The Witcher 3. It's what they did with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So it's just a dynamic system. It's not on the level of Red Dead 2, where pretty much everything was motion captured, but it's still, a step up from Valhalla, which was just like the floating animation of somebody just standing there doing nothing while you talk to people. Tester heard mentions of wanting to keep it more grounded, but the same was said with Valhalla, and look what happened. Yeah, sure do know what happened there. Yeah, they said the dual protagonist system is not exactly like Syndicate, whatever that means, who knows. It probably means that it's just, like they said, you have to go back to the base to switch characters. In Syndicate, you could basically switch whenever, and a bunch of missions were designed around having them both, or doing part of the mission with one and part of the mission with the other. So we'll see how it balances out here, but at the very least, it seems like they're trying to do things a little bit differently. Parkour, they say it's better than the last 4 games, mentioned Unity and an improvement, but I don't know if that means it's at the level Unity was at. There was that one article, was it from Insider Gaming with those leaks? I think they described how they've had to go in and like completely rebuild a lot of the animation sets for the updated engine that they're using. So they've redone a lot of stuff. And it's why like you could see Assassin's Creed Origins leading into Odyssey and Valhalla and Mirage. You could see the same animations play out. So it might be how they jump up to a ledge. It might be how they pivot off of something. It might be an attack animation. It could be how they interact with something or pick something up. And so they're just recycled animations. And that's normal. That's usual, because why would you remake something if you don't have to? But it showed you how iterative the process of game development was, where they started with like this set and then they add to it, might tweak a couple things, but they add to it, tweak, add to it, tweak. So you end up with something very familiar, but that is technically still being improved. And with this game, it seems like this is going to be more of an Assassin's Creed Origins situation, where they've taken a lot of extra time. They've cranked a bunch of knobs. They've improved a lot of stuff. They've rebuilt a lot of stuff. So I'm expecting Red to be a pretty big leap forward and to be quite different from Valhalla, which honestly I'm okay with, because you guys know how I feel about
Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
I have strong feelings. But beyond this, like other things that they mention, the one city the tester had access to was densely populated, with the urban level design catering towards parkour, being able to traverse cities without touching the ground once. This to me is refreshing, because in Valhalla, or again, I'm sorry,
Assassin's Creed Valhalla,
they like decided, okay, our games are known for parkour, where you can like climb up buildings, pivot off, run around, have a great time. What if we just set a game in a place where there's basically no big cities at all, and it's all just trees and then fields? That's what Valhalla was. And it was really frustrating, like really, really frustrating. So it's nice to see that potentially big cities could make a return. I am down for that. Reinhardt98, thank you for the super chat. 10 euros. Holla. I don't understand why Western developers keep pushing this Yasuke story. Netflix made an anime about him and it was garbage. I want to play as Japanese male if the action takes place in Japan. I mean, I think we can infer why. It's a interesting story that's very unique, and I think the idea is that it's different, right? It's not what you would expect, but when everybody's trying to do the same unexpected thing, it ends up being expected. So that's basically, I mean, it doesn't really achieve the end that they were seeking for, or seeking. So I think it's that. It also, you know, gets some points with, you know, some particularly vocal people on social media. So I think there's reasons they do it. I don't know if it makes the game quantifiably better. I think it's probably at the end of the day, it kind of cancels itself out. Because again, when everybody's trying to do something unexpected or trying to be really surprising in how they set up the story, it just ends up that nobody really is surprising or doing anything that interesting. So yeah, I mean, to me, there's potential with the story having him as the male protagonist. But again, like I don't know if it's like so exciting or so novel that it makes the game significantly better. It might. I just don't know. We'll see. You can use the grappling hook for parkour and climb since you're not able to climb anything and everything anymore. Interesting. So they're not trying to do the Breath of the Wild thing. They're trying to keep it more intentional. Interesting. They have parkour puzzles apparently. So they're trying to double down on parkour being used. So that's interesting. Yeah, they want to keep it more grounded. Base building is customizable, but you don't get to pick color schemes, only shapes and designs. Okay. Title was changed twice already, as the original sounded like something out of an anime. Naoi leaked art apparently is an endgame design. Okay. It's not her, just a generic ninja assassin from that teaser. Okay. There was an issue regarding the time period where the tester said that it takes place before Valhalla, which doesn't make sense considering the shinobi weren't active until around the 1300s. They later corrected themselves and said it was because their notes were messy. Interesting. Might be true, might be not. Tester potentially slipped up when they mentioned a hypothetical involving Yasuke outfit in the Infinity Store, but I wasn't able to find out more. I mean, this is in no way surprising. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be microtransactions and cosmetics in the store. I mean, there were in Valhalla, there were in Odyssey, in Origins, so no part of that would be surprising. I mean, I'm certain, I would bet a lot of microtransactions that there will be microtransactions in the game. They say it's targeting October. That also kind of lines up. For me, the big question mark right now is Star Wars Outlaws, because a lot of people were thinking it was probably coming the first half of this year, and now we haven't really heard much. And so it looks like later half, maybe even early next year. So I'm interested in where that fits in with the rest of this. As for Infinity, corroborates the leak that it's a hub to launch the main game, so a glorified launcher like with the recent Call of Duty games, with modern day and small sizable DLCs for each upcoming game. Microtransactions are optional and implied to only be accessible through Infinity, so that potentially means there won't be an in-game store within each of the games, but there will be in the Infinity hub. It's meant to hold everything in one place. We can boot up games from the main menu as we can now, but when you pause the game and select store, it's replaced with some kind of menu and you're taken to the Infinity hub. I think they did that for a while with like the Ubisoft overlay. Super clunky, never worked right. New third-person protagonist with character creation. Oh, so like the hub has its own? I don't know what that means. Mentioned something called Dynasty, but it's not the official name. It's something unrelated to Red. Okay, maybe those are those mini battle passes they were talking about in that leak. I don't know. That's, I take all of this with a grain of salt, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's all pretty much in line with what we would expect. No Transmog or New Game Plus until post-launch. That's unfortunate. Transmog seems like something they should probably just have day one, especially after Odyssey and Valhalla when that was kind of expected. So that's unfortunate, but what are you going to do? I don't know. There's a lot of interesting concepts here. Nothing that surprising. Like, the biggest takeaway is like that it is potentially targeting October, which we already kind of knew. So not a lot of like truly novel information, but I hope it means that they're testing things, they're getting it ready, they're polishing the crap out of it. And for me, it's just Valhalla was a real disappointment. And then Mirage was cool, but Mirage was not like a big step forward. It was kind of like using tools they already had to do something old school, and it was cool for what it was, but it wasn't like a full release or anything. So I'm excited to see what Ubisoft has been doing for years and years while they've been developing this, and I hope that it's solid. I hope it's cool. What's transmog? It's like transmogrification is what it's short for, and all it means is that like if you have one armor set equipped that looks kind of ugly but it has better stats, If you transmog, you would transmog it to change the look of it to something else. So if you have one armor set that looks really cool but has bad stats, you could still keep the look of that armor while using a different armor set's stats, if that makes sense. They need a banger big time. Ubisoft stock is bad at the moment. Yeah, I mean, they basically have had, what, like 3-4 years of just nothing significant, of no big releases, no big hits. They just like can't get anything out. They've had to like cancel stuff or delay stuff. So hopefully they have just been delaying stuff because what they have coming is going to be amazing. But I'm optimistic for Star Wars Outlaws. The big thing with that game is everybody's like, it looks amazing. It just looks too good to be true from Ubisoft. So if they can just live up to that trailer and make it look and run that well, that game is going to be a winner. Like, I have no doubt. But they have to live up to that standard. And people are pretty skeptical to begin with Ubisoft because they burn a lot of goodwill. So we'll see. As for AC Red, I'm sure AC Red's going to do well. If it looks good, if it plays decent, I mean, Valhalla broke sales, or rather revenue records for the franchise. So Valhalla made a good amount of money for them, and it wasn't very good. So if this if this is even pretty good, it should do very, very well. That's my guess. They might, I mean, they're pushing this Assassin's Creed Infinity thing pretty hard, seemingly. And that could be a problem because some of those leaks that we saw had, I think they called them, what did they call them? I forget what they called them, but they were mini battle passes basically for each game. So like, it wasn't a full battle pass, but you'd be able to buy a battle pass, or maybe it wasn't purchasable. It was just something that you got access to by default. But there were mini battle passes for each of the games that you would play, and there's like daily login bonuses and stuff. And I'm like, if we're doing all of this to try and force players to participate daily, like I have to wonder if there's going to be daily login bonuses in the single player stuff too. And like at that point I start to check out. I'm like, let's not do that. Let's not do that. You know, they said Red will be more like Odyssey or like Mirage. I mean, more like Odyssey. Mirage, they've been clear as like a one-off. That's not what they're going for with every release. They probably are going to get their own chance at releasing a full game with a full budget now that they proved Mirage as a concept works and people wanted it. But they are not sticking to that. I mean, inevitably, there's going to be people that boot up and are like, oh, wait, AC Red is not like Mirage at all. Wow, Ubisoft just totally pivoted and changed their minds. No, like the whole idea for Ubisoft right now is that they're going to have games that appeal to different niches. So they'll have one game that comes out and targets co-op players, and then another one that targets like the hardcore RPG players, like the Odyssey fans. And then they'll have another game that's more narrative and experimental, which is what Hexe seemingly will be. So they're just trying to have a game every couple of years that targets a new niche. So if you only like one type of Assassin's Creed game, you're probably only going to get one fix every 5-6 years. But if you're an Assassin's Creed fan that likes a bunch of different like genres, you'll have a lot to consume, I think. Let's see. Odyssey Loot System gave me the itch that they created in The Division. Then they ruined it. I mean, it's better than, in my opinion, what they did with Valhalla. Valhalla just, to me, burnt me out so quickly. He took my thing.